Hi everybody. Somebody asked me to do a tutorial on how I made this apron. Let me scoot back a little bit. It's a half apron. It's got a waist tie, but it has pockets, and the pockets have sort of a gusset, so it kind of expands like that. I don't know if you can see that, but I think that was something that they kind of wanted to know. You know, if it was flat across there, then you couldn't get as much stuff in, but this is sort of baggy. Anyway, I don't have a pattern, I have ideas, and that's how I come up with this. Well, a couple of things. I'll just show you what I did along the way. This one I'm making is going to be two-tone, two colors. So I'm going to be trying to make contrasting things. So first let me tell you how I figured out how to cut it. This part here, the main body, I just took on my body and took about how far down I thought it would be. And then I also sat down because I know what this is an apron for my daughter who's a teacher. And I figured she'd be sitting down a lot as well as standing up. And she needs, it needs to be able to not to be where it'll bunch up on her legs where she bends to sit. Anyway, so we have our main body piece, and then we have our pocket piece. We have, this is bias tape on here, sort of, and this is bias tape. Although it is not really bias tape because I made it myself and I did not cut it on the bias, but I'm not going around any curves, so it wasn't any problem. So let me show you the pieces that I cut. These are the colors that were requested, and so they are gold and purple. So the back main part of the apron is going to be gold, and the pocket is going to be purple. And then the trim on the pocket will be gold, and the waist tie will be purple. So I'm going to take you over to the ironing board. I ironed all of these flat. Oh, I'm sorry. This gold piece is cut at 15 inches. And these are variable however you want to do them. This piece is cut at 10 inches, and it's just the length of the width, I should say, of the fabric. Now, this piece here, this gold piece, after I unfolded it, I realized it was not a full width. But I don't have a problem with that because it's sort of a canvasy duck. I think they call this duck. Anyway, so it's thicker. So I don't have a problem with it not being able to be doubled. I could cut another piece because I do have some more fabric over here, but I don't think I need to. I don't want the apron to be super heavy to begin with and then turn around and have to put stuff in there. What my daughter requested was to be able to put a few Kleenexes or some hand sanitizer, a few things like that in her pockets. And she wanted 3 pockets. I made a mistake and made 4, but anyway, so that's what we're going to do. So first one, I'm going to go and make this into sort of a bias tape. So I'll take you over to the ironing board, and I guess really this would be called an unbiased tape because it's not on the bias. And also, I started to say earlier, this doesn't bother me because it's not patterned on one side and not the other, so it's going to be pretty no matter what. So the first thing I do, now this is a full length or width. I don't know why I keep saying length. It's a full width of the fabric. And so I'm just going to iron this in half. And when I turn my iron down, I turn the steam off so I need to turn it back on. And I like to steam stuff because it just seems like it puts your lines, your creases and stuff in better. So I'm going all the way down with this, and I'm just doing it on half. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning again, and I'm going to, my robotic vacuum just came in, so if you hear a worry sound, that's what it is. I'm working, I'm vacuuming, and I'm sewing. Isn't that amazing? I have to tell you, I really like that machine. I still vacuum and stuff now and then, but in between times, let me tell you, it picks up the dog hair. We have 2 dogs, and this brand of vacuum thing, I don't know, can you see it coming around there? It's called a Eufy, E-U-F-Y, I think. E-U-F-Y or E-U-F-E. Anyway, we got it, and I guess it must have been on sale because it was only like $159, and now it's over $200. But it works very well, and it goes along, and it vacuums, and then pretty soon it starts beeping, and it has to go back to its base because it gets full. And that's like, wow, there's that much junk on the floor. But yep, I guess there is. Alright, so I folded both edges in. Now, see, first I folded it in half and pressed it, then I folded both edges in. Now I'm going to fold it in like this and press it. When you're sewing, you need to just take time to press. And I made this little pressing table out of a TV tray, a wooden TV tray. And I put that pre-quilted fabric on it, and I just stapled it on the back. I need to recover it because it's getting old and icky. Had it for several years. But anyway, it just is so handy because I don't have to have that big old ironing board. In fact, I don't even know. I think the ironing board is in the camper. So I use this sewing all the time. And when you sew, if you press, your work just looks more professional. Alright. So I got that done. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my pocket piece. Oops, that little piece. I'm going to take my pocket piece, which is also the width of the fabric, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to sew this on here like this. And yes, this is not going to be doubled, and it's a lighter weight fabric, but it's for the pocket, so I'm hoping that it'll be okay. So I'm going to turn that down. I'll bring you over here where you can watch this sewing excitement. Let's see if I can get you. Now I know that probably this is going to be boring, so I don't care if you go fast through it or whatever, but I'm just going to put this in there all the way, and I'm going to set my needle to the left, and I'm just going to sew this on. This kind of reminds me of our local college colors, gold and purple, the conquistadors. So I'm just going to sew all along here, and then I'm going to show you how to make those pleats. I'm going to make sure I'm catching my binding. If for some reason I missed it and didn't catch it, I would just sew another row, another seam. It's not really a seam, another thing along there, and pretend that that's what I wanted to do, was to have two. But I'm going to try not to do that, so. And I'm not going to be using this whole piece, but I don't care. I really don't, like I said, I don't have a pattern, I have ideas. So I just have to go with it. And I'll just use that extra piece for something else. Make a little pocket with it or something. The big deal now is the teachers, a lot of them, not all of them, but some of the teachers, like the coaches and stuff, they want these pockets so they can put their cell phone and a hand sanitizer in. So I made a bunch of those for friends who are coaches. And I also made one for myself so that when I'm mowing, I can have my phone with me because I don't have any pockets and I don't want to tuck it in my bra. I don't think that's a good idea for a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons is I sweat. And I don't want my phone getting all wet from my sweat. Alright, so this, you can tell that this fabric, this yellow fabric, was a lot longer than the purple fabric, or wider. I don't know why I keep saying longer, but I mean wider. I'm just going to do a little back stitch and pull this out and clip it off. And when you stop, make sure that you have your needle all the way up so that you can pull your thread out. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I make the pleats. Alright, I like to use those clips. So this is going to be the top of the pocket. I'm going to clip this extra piece off. Throw it over here in my stash. Alright. So there really isn't a front or back to these. But I'm going to come away from here. I'm going to try to do 3 pockets. Try to figure that out. So I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 or 7 inches. And I'm going to make a little pleat like that. And then I'm going to make one coming this way. You see how I did that? So I have to clip this. After I get it clipped, I'll show it to you. And how wide you make your little pleat thing would be how deep your pocket's going to be. I love these little things. Alright, so can you see that? This is what the back looks like. After I get these all made, I'm going to go over to the ironing board. So really, I only have to make 2 of these because I only want 3 pockets. So I'm going to come over here a ways. And I'm going to do it again. And there's no rule. There's no reason that it has to be a certain way. One pocket can be deeper, one can be farther away. If you want to get all picky about it, then figure it out yourself, because I sure don't know how to do it. I just wing it. I just do my thing. So now I'm going to do this part of it, the bottom, and then I'm going to iron it. But first I'm going to kind of see on my, this is going to be my face in the back. So see what I'm doing. This is going to be the main body of the apron. So I kind of just want to see how I did. Did I go crazy? Do I need another pocket? Because I can always put 4 pockets in there. And this is a fairly wide apron, but I don't think that we're minis. I think that'll work. That works for me. So I'm going to have this much extra I'm going to cut off. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to cut it a little wider so that if I made a mistake somewhere, it's not going to show. See what I mean by I just do my thing? So we'll go over and iron these pleats. Then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. These are just a little bit tricky because obviously I can't iron over my clips. I wish I had purple in this canvasy filling stuff because that would be awesome. But I don't, so like I said, I work with what I have. I don't have patterns, I have ideas. So there's one ironed. Oops. All right. So I have my 2 pleats ironed. Now, this is where I just do my thing. I have to think about this for a little bit. Get rid of that extra piece. So I have one side here that's not as pretty. So I'm going to, I'm talking about the edge. The edge isn't as pretty. So I'm going to put it along, and I'm putting this face down because I'm going to bring it around the other way and this, and then I'm going to finish this bottom. So I'm just going to line this up along here. I wonder if other people so like me or they're more precise. I'm sure that people that have OCD are dying when they watch me, because I'll just do the Debbie thing. So I'm going to just clip this along the way. Then I'm going to go over and I'm going to sew it. And then I'll show you what we're going to do next. We're going to sew and then we're going to press. So coming back over here to the sewing machine. And how wide a seam you take is up to you. I think I'm going to do about 5/8 because then I'm going to serge this edge so that it'll be nice and not gravelly. So I'm going to do a 5/8 seam. Just being careful. Go along here. Make sure everything looks good, flat. Make sure my little pleat thing is in the right place. Now here my little pleat thing come undone, so I gotta put that back. Okay, I think I'm gonna serge. No, I don't want to serge down that side. See, I have to stop and think and figure stuff out. So now I'm gonna go over here to my serger. I have two sergers, but this is my favorite one. It's my newest one. And I'm just going to serge along here. Finish my seam. Alright, we'll go back over to the table here. I use a office chair so that I can roll around. Okay, so we sewed and serged, and now we're going to turn this like this. And then we're going to go and press this, and then we are going to sew up this seam here. But first I got to think about how do I want to finish the sides. Do I want to make a binding to put on the sides? Let's see, I threw this piece over here. Let me look at that. After I cut this off, maybe I want to bind that. I like that. I could do one side yellow, gold, and one side purple. I don't know. Let me go on this and do the other things, and then we'll talk about that. So this, I want to make sure that I have all my pleats just right, because I'm mainly just pressing this bottom. And I have my steam all the way up. You got to kind of fiddle with this so that it'll lay properly, so you can iron it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew right in the middle of this pleat to form my pocket. And I think I want to pin that at the top instead of having those clips, because the clips can't go all the way through the fabric, obviously, because they're clipped on top. So I think I'm going to do this and take my clips off. Let's see, that's kind of acting weird. Make it too big a plate. Is that what I'm doing? There we go. All right. So now we're going to sew along. We're going to sew in between those, bottom to top, and I'm going to back stitch here, and this will form my pocket. I don't know how well you all can see this, but I'm giving it my best shot. I am definitely not a professional, and I want to put my needle back to the middle. That little Eufy vacuum cleaner always moves my my foot pedal. So every time I come to sew, and if it's been vacuuming, I have to find my foot pedal. To be careful that I don't catch the edge of that pleat. I want to be sure and backstitch a couple of times up on top, because that is going to be my stress point. That's where your hand is going to go in and out of the pocket. So you want to make sure that you have backstitch there so that it is strengthened. So I got one pocket done. Now I'm going to go to the other pocket. And I'm backstitching at the bottom as well, just because that way the stitches don't pull out at the beginning. And the sun is shining right on my machine, and it makes it hard for me to make sure that I'm not hitting my side of my pleat. Okay, so now I've sewn my pockets. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'll go over to the serger, and I'm going to serge around the other three sides, just because this has a tendency to fray a little bit, and that will keep that clean. Over to the serger. And this piece, I need to make sure I'm in the right spot for it. Whoops. Something I didn't clip. I always like to clip my threads right away. Alright, I'm going to kind of hold this so that I don't do it in the wrong spot. And I do love this serger because it's so smooth. So very smooth. It's actually pretty pretty quiet too for a serger. And it's one of those air threaders. Oh my goodness. I got it on sale. Still wasn't cheap, but it was a lot cheaper than regular price. Alright. Now I'll search this side. Then when I put that binding on it and my waist casing thing, it'll be good. I made myself a little pocket here because this serger didn't come with a little pocket thing. So I have to have somewhere to throw all that thread and fabric that gets cut off. Alright. Alright, so I don't know if I'll make you guys watch the whole rest of the thing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I'll fold this up and put it on here and sew that along this edge, and then with my purple piece I'm going to do the ironing where I fold it in half and fold both ends in and then fold it in half again, and then also that across the top. And what I'll do, you know what, I'm going to have to cut another piece because that is not going to cut it. Okay, so I'm going to cut another piece the same size and I'm going to sew them together, and so that the tie will be plenty long. Let's see, it's already 30. I'm going to go ahead and make you watch. So this is, I cut this at 4 inches, so I need another piece at 4 inches, then I need another piece for my other side. So I'm going to cut a piece of the purple at 4 inches so I can have a plenty long tie. And then I'll show you how I sew them together so that they're a smooth thing and not, a lot of people don't sew their pieces together correctly. So I cut that at 4 inches. And then I've got to cut up another piece of the gold at 3 inches so I can have more binding. And this is just really kind of scraps. There's not much left of this. And let's see, this one I said I wanted to cut at 3 inches. Alright, so let me show you how to sew these two pieces together for the sash so that, there it is, so that it's a smooth transition. My great grandma taught me this because the first thing that I learned to do was sew strips of fabric together for her to crochet rag rugs. Okay, so this is a little bit bigger piece, so I'm going to actually pin it. But what I did was I have face up and face down, and I'm putting them on a corner. Okay, can you see that? And I'm going to sew from this corner to this corner. Okay. Then I'll show you what I do next. And I do a little back stitch, and I find my corner here and I head towards it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this with my pinking shears. And I'm leaving a decent amount because I'm going to iron that back. So let's go back to the ironing board. That's one thing about sewing back and forth, back and forth. That's why it's nice to have this little ironing thing. Here comes Yuffie again. So I'm going to open this up. And press it like that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do my other pressing. I'm going to make my tie. So I'm going to press that in half. All the way down. And you know, it's better to have a little bit longer tie. But I think that this girl that I'm making it for is not like a beanpole. I think she's more normal size. So we need to make sure we have enough to tie. And, you know, if worse comes to worse, you can always cut off the ends of it. I think it'll be alright. So I'm going to press this all in half. And I did use mixed fabric. This is cotton and the other is duck. I think duck's a funny name for a fabric. But whatever. Alright, so I did it in half, and now I'm going to press my ends, my edges to the middle. And when I do my very end one, I'm more careful, because if you don't, it messes up. So I press that. Then I come along and I can do a little bit more at a time. If any of you make an apron like this, I don't know if there's a way to put the photo in the comments, but if there is, I'd love to see them. That'd be awesome. Also, if you think that this video is helpful, I'd appreciate knowing that. Knowing I'm not wasting my breath talking to myself. Almost done. This is all part of the process, though. What's funny is when that little vacuum thing comes and runs into your feet. It doesn't hurt. It just barely bumps you and then it turns around and goes the other way. Alright, so now I'm going to do my finishing touch where I iron it in half. I mean my final ironing in half. And this is going to be my tie. And I made it, like I said, I made it 4 inches. You can make it wider if you want. I settled on 4 inches because I just thought that seemed like a good width. Okay, I'm going to have to make my side bias tapes before I can put this tie on. So let me grab this. And I'm going to cut this off about the length of the other one. And I know you can't see what's going on, but I'll be there in a second. So I cut that long piece about the length of this other piece I had. So I didn't have to sit there and iron that big giant long piece. So I'm going to make my little unbiased tape. And this time when I fold it in, I'm going to fold in the end a little bit, because that's going to be on the bottom of my apron. And then I have to carefully fold the sides in. I'm going to go back and do that to the other one too. Ouch. There we go. Now I gotta fold that in. Sure does pick up a lot of little other pieces of string. I feel like I hear somebody snoring. Wonder if one of the dogs is laying in here somewhere. Alright. So that piece is ready. Now I'm just going to iron this one piece, the end in. And then iron it back. Hope y'all can see what I'm doing. I know it's kind of hard with my fingers in the way, huh? Alright. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my apron. I always haul my trash can around. Alright. So I'm going to start at the bottom edge and put this even with the bottom. And clip this on. And I'll probably sew from the bottom up, because the top is going to be covered with my waist sash. Oh yeah, that's going to look nice, I think. So this side I'm doing the opposite, so I want to make sure I have my bottom at the bottom. Don't want my bottom at the top. If you've never tried these little clips, you should. They're awesome. Now I don't use them all for everything, because some things a pin works better. You saw that. But there's a lot that it sure does work nice. Alright, so I've got these ready. Now I'm going to sew along the edge of that. So let's go do that. And I think I'm going to turn my iron off, because I don't think I'm going to need it anymore, because I pretty much got everything pressed. I'm going to go from the bottom. I'm going to sew from the bottom to the top, and I'm going to sew just inside. I'm just going to come in just a little ways. You know what? I think I'm going to put my needle to the left side. Sometimes when you get going, it's not under your presser foot enough, so you kind of got to lift it up and give it a little boost. And I'm watching a number over here so that I can kind of try to make it even. Sewing an even number, an even seam is good, if you can. But even those of us who have sewn for many years don't always have even seams, but we sure try. Alright, so now I'm just going to clip off this extra piece here and my threads. So that piece is done. And I'm going to clip my thread here. Now I'm going to go to the other side and sew it down. And the reason why you backstitch is, especially like when you're starting like that, is it keeps the thread from coming apart in your on your sewing, because otherwise this could unravel, and that is not a fun thing. Nobody likes their thread to unravel and come unsewn. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to clip the seam. We're almost done. Clip my little threads down here. Now we're going to go back over to the table again, and I'm going to take my clips and my camera. Sit down. Move my little piece of fabric out of the way. Alright, so this is what we have. We have our apron front. Now we need to put our tie on. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go and fold my tie in half. And I'm not going to worry about the ends of these because they're on the selvage end. And so they have a finish. So I don't have to worry about tucking those in like I did that other piece. So what I'm going to do is find my middle. There's my middle. And you know it's your middle because that's where you joined your seams. And this doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but I'm put a little clip there, and now I'm going to fold my apron, find my middle. Alright, now I'm going to match my middle to my middle. And then I'm just going to put it over here. Just put this inside, fold that over, and give it a clip. Now I'm going to work my way over from one side to the other. This is not going to be as bad as I thought. I just thought it wasn't going to be a very pretty apron with the plain fabrics, but I don't think I mind it. So now I'm going to work my way back over this way, poking this. I poke this all the way up to the fold. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the very end, and I'm going to sew all the way. Alright, so I'll take you along for that, and then we're going to be done. And you're probably going, woohoo, tired of listening to her talk. Alright, so I've got my needle in the left-hand position, and I'm going to leave it there, I believe. I'll figure it out once I get started here. So I'll start on the end, and yes, I'm going to leave it in the left-hand position, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the edge of my presser foot along the edge of the fabric. Alright, and I always hang on to my thread for a couple of stitches. use my fingers to help guide. And I did take home ec, and I know all the proper ways of doing things, but I just do my own thing. Alright, so now I'm getting up to where my apron's going to connect, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to back stitch here, because that's going to be another stress point where it connects. See how easy those clips are to get off and throw over in the little container? Alright, so I'm getting back to the other edge of my apron. So I'm going to back stitch again. I do this on all my sewing. If I think about where is a pressure point, where is a stress point, and I back stitch there just to give it extra strength, because especially if I'm giving it away to someone who doesn't sew and can't mend it, plus the fact that it looks nicer if it's neat and doesn't fall apart. Alright, so it looks like we made an apron start to finish in less than an hour. I did have my pieces cut, most of them, but alrighty then. We are done. And you know, if I wanted to, I could do another row of stitching, and I don't think that I want to do that, because I think this will be fine. Actually, do I want to do that? I don't think I do. Let me go over and show you the finished product. Here's the finished apron. And it's wide enough. Here we go. Yeah, nice. I think this will work just fine. Hopefully she'll be happy with this. And there you go. Leave a comment with your opinion. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day. Bye.